Hello, everybody, and a big welcome to MUSC Red Devils NCR. Today, I have two good friends with me, Kushagra and Vaibhav, to have you for the pre match discussion of the game against Omonoia, and it's at Old Trafford this time. As you would all know, we won the first leg, not leg, the first game, which was on their stadium, and it was sort of tougher than we would have expected, to be honest. I mean, going 1-0 down against a team we were thinking of playing our reserves in as fans. So that doesn't really cut us any slack. But we would expect the game to be different. And onto that, with that thought, I would sort of pose the big question in the room: how strong or how not strong would you go with the lineup? I'd start with Kushagra.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. So I think we have about 8 to 9 games in this month, right? But the thing is that our the bench players, they haven't been really up to it. So answering your question, how strong? I think ETS will probably go for a balanced squad, wherein we'll have majority of the first team starters. If we are able to do the job in the first half, we can maybe since now we have about 4 to 5 substitutions allowed, so maybe वो अगले half में he can like just substitute them off so that they have a rest. But I think he will go for a strong lineup. He will go for the players that he usually like trusts, and I don't see many fringe players getting a start.
Right, right, right. Webabai, would you agree? Would you name some players maybe you think could go out of the squad for resting purpose?
Yes, I do agree with what Kushagra said that, I don't think Eric Ten Hag would and should, rest a great chunk of his players for this game because it's a very important game, like we cannot take Europa League lightly because it can be the only way for us to, get into this Champions League. Huh. So yeah, what I was saying is, so I think, look, I think this Europa League game is very important. And I agree with Kushagra with what he said. Eric Ten Hag would and should not make a lot of changes. You can maybe get a Fred with Casemiro. I mean, that combination can work wonders for you. They've played together with Brazilian national team, and you can give Ericsson a bit of rest. Other than that, I do not really see any major changes, to be very honest with you. One you can talk about is, Dalot, coming in, Dalot going on for Wan Bissaka, because, Dalot has been playing relentlessly. He's not had any sort of rest. But then again, Eric has been pretty evident that, he does not trust Dalot. I don't think you should change your attacking options. In fact, I mean, if you want to change your attacking options from the previous game against Omonia in the Europa, you should get Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think this game is just perfect for him to start, at home. Not quite the Champions League nights, which he is used to, but, an European night, against a relatively easy team, which would really suit him. Get Ronaldo. Maybe you can use a Sancho. To build up that confidence because he's not been good in the previous games, and you could give somebody like a Rashford a rest because he's been pretty injury prone. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think considering the history of previous players with the injuries and how relentlessly they have been playing, you can take some calls and some decisions, but I don't think he would go with a drastic change because Europa League tie this time around is pretty important for us.
Right, right, right. So we seem to be in pretty unison kind of a pact with the fact that we shouldn't really be touching our squad much, and especially maybe putting up Cristiano Ronaldo. He's got that 700th goal. It was sort of a a bastard of a thing, not coming off, and finally it's gone. He has 700 goals. We have seen the pics of the team celebrating in our locker room. And in those pics, we found out some unfamiliar faces like Donny van de Beek and Aaron van Bissaka in it. I mean, I don't know. Brandon Williams, for that
Yeah,
matter, he exists as well. So
what naive.
that was a fun fact. But anyways, moving on to the serious business, there are some sort of mini duels going on in our squad, which is never bad to have in a big squad. That competition is very, very necessary at a top club like us. So, Shaw looks like half of himself. And I mean quite literally half of himself, and double his playing game. So like, what's there between Malacia and Shaw? Probably Shaw edges Malacia as the semi first choice right now, but maybe Malacia could get a head start in the Europa League. What do you think, Kushagra?
Right. So I think the last two games for the last two starts for like Tyrone Malacia, they haven't obviously like been like very good. I think he got like brought off in the halftime in like both the last games. So that's not really a very good thing for a young player. When he like starts the game, but he then gets taken off at the halftime. So obviously, I can see that his confidence is a bit on the downfall right now. But I think this game will be the perfect game for him to like make a start and regain his old form that we obviously saw in the start of the season. I think Luke Shaw, he looked absolutely amazing against Everton the other day. Absolutely amazing. But I would probably keep him fit and fresh for the Newcastle game on the weekend, and I would give Harry Malaysia a start against Omonoia.
Right. You agree, Vaibhav?
It's very difficult with somebody like a Luke Shaw, who's been here for a long time. Obviously didn't really quite get along with Mourinho. Had Solskjaer bought, Solskjaer sort of, bought his mojo back, and he had that amazing run till the Euros finals, and again he lost his form. I mean, and I think he's out of contract, next year, I believe, or in 2024. So I think
Yeah.
for Luke Shaw, every match is a do or die match. It could be, that one opportunity, if he plays good, maybe he gets, some 2 or 3 extra years in United. And if he does not really perform, if he's not on par with, somebody like a Malacia, his career can live, do you really want to go to a mid-table club in the Premier League after, being that consistent starter for a big team like Man United? Obviously, we haven't performed well in recent years, but the Man United thing, it's a pretty big club. As Kushagra said, he has performed well. He is the experienced guy. But then again, I'm not taking ammonia a bit. I'm not taking ammonia lightly. But then I think we can take that risk with Malacia this time around. Maybe he's just a young kid. Trying to settle in the squad. Eric has shown tremendous faith in him. Maybe give him a start and just see how he goes by. If he performs bad, you can take him out at halftime and just keep somebody like a Luke Shaw who's experienced, who knows the Premier League, fit for Newcastle, which can be pretty dangerous. Let's not forget Newcastle did get a result against Man City. So we cannot take Newcastle lightly. So yeah, I agree with Kushagra on what he said, and I think for Luke Shaw, it's going to be very very. I don't know. It's going to be a do or die for Luke Shaw, I believe, in the coming days.
And like
I
just
mean,
one thing to add, sorry, Antriksh, I
go on.
recently read a quote by Paul Scholes saying, "Remember the time when the wingers used to help the fullbacks." So I mean,
Yes.
I don't see any of the wingers actually, dropping back and helping out the wingers. So obviously, for a young player like Carroll, if obviously like the winger drops back and offers them some support, that would be like really helpful for them.
I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's true.
Absolutely. Got 2 points from there. A little observation on Luke Shaw that Luke Shaw seems to be in the form of his life when his position is challenged. I mean, we saw it with Brandon Williams when he was coming and sort of poking the door and even got in front for like a couple of months. Then we saw it with Alex Telles and now with Tyrell Malacia. As soon as Luke Shaw gets a spot, and then he's sort of given that insurance by the manager that you are my guy and you are sort of in the untouchable character territory. He sort of then goes a bit hunky dory, and then he sort of falls down his own spiral, which is the inconsistent spiral for the last 5 6 years. And this time around, I hope Erik Ten Hag keeps him on his feet, which I think he would. I mean, considering the big ballsy decisions the guy has taken, and any game, any couple of games on a row on the trot, he drops off. Malacia straight into the squad. And secondly, the Paul Scholes thing you mentioned. I mean, I don't know if you'd agree or not, but again, it's an observation that Jadon Sancho has done the least running one could ever do as a footballer. I mean, I saw Dallo's performance the other day. To be honest, it was horrible. But it was Anthony who made his performance much, much, much
Right.
more bearable and very, very
Mhm.
sort of helpful for the team. The way he was getting exposed to his passes. But Anthony's tracking back really helped him. What do you think,
Agreed.
Vaibhav?
I agree totally. I agree. I think Anthony is probably the only winger, who actually like tracks back. I haven't seen really like Jadon Sancho, he doesn't track back at all. Marcus Rashford, he does at times, but yeah, Anthony is probably the only one who does it on like a regular basis. So I absolutely agree, and that's why maybe some of the weaknesses of like Dallo we are not able to see because Anthony is obviously there to help him out. While on the left wing, it's not the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So coming back to the first point that I had while starting the video, guys, it was tough for us first time around. I mean, and we wouldn't really want it that tough. And as Webber said, like far from taking them lightly. Newcastle is a force to reckon with now, with all of that oil money splashing in. So I mean, how do you see this game panning out? I mean, obviously we as United fans would expect us to dominate, but do you see us vulnerable on the counter attack if we really get into ourselves and think it's a game that we can take for granted?
I think we need to take into consideration that, when last time we faced around, the morale of the players were pretty much down. It was gone after that Man City game. They were pretty timid. They were kind of scared. They didn't want that dropping again. I mean, I think it could have been a really, really terrible nightmare. If, you lose against Man City in that fashion, and then you go to Ammonia and you lose by a scrappy 1-0, it would have been completely, I think, a very, very big news, a big story. And I think this time around, with that performance against Everton, Ronaldo getting that 700 goal, team coming together, you kind of see that, that unity coming in. And, the game is at Old Trafford, 75,000 people cheering the team on. The atmosphere is going to be there. So I do think this time around it's going to be relatively easy than before, because I think this time around the players have coming back with, a winning mentality from here. And, they've got their win. And time and time again, we have seen with this United side, they can go and have a very, very good runs. We saw it under Ole, not really under Ragnick, but, under Mourinho, if you go back to those days, this team is capable of having those good runs. Once, they do come across some defeats where you just go like, wow, this team is not capable of doing anything. But then somehow they get their mojo back. They get that one result, and then they go and have a good run. So I believe that this time around it can be that good run. Like I said, Ammonia, you cannot take them lightly. They're in your group. With Real Sociedad at the top, it can be quite dicey. If you lose or draw. But then again, I expect our team to come full throttle and perform well because, as I said, the home advantage. I mean, again, no disrespect to Ammonia, but then comparing their home stadium advantage, of what 10,000, 12,000 people to Old Trafford's 75,000 people. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a challenge for them. So I completely expect United to go all guns blazing.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, the fans on our side, and the magic of Old Trafford should certainly play into our hands. But we've also seen Kushakra as sort of struggling to break teams down. It rings me a bell to Istanbul Başakşehir under Oli. Wherein we were in Istanbul, and everyone obviously almost expected us to win. I know they weren't, with all due respect to Ammonia, weren't on the same level of Ammonia, but in the Champions League, I would call them the Ammonia of Champions League. The way we sort of went into the game. But we saw what happened. They scored two quick goals on the counter attack. One of them being the Dembaba goal, which we left the whole field for him to run onto. But anyways, and then we could only get a goal back. So, are there sort of fears about us not being able to break a team down, or does Ten Hag solve that problem?
I don't think we'll have the same problem like this time around. I think we have enough horsepower in our team to like get this through and see the 3 points. Even like the last game that we had against them, even though we like had an early goal, but I think we were like the more dominant team in that game. Obviously, we had a few errors from obviously like Ronaldo was not up to it, and Casemiro obviously didn't have the best of the games. But I think coming on from the win against Everton and obviously it being a home game, so we'll have the support of the home fans. I don't think we should have any problems, and I think our team is more than enough to see this through.
Right, right. Absolutely agreed. Again, it's another small observation, and my wish as a United fan, I go back to the match against Omonia, and I recall the goals. I recall the goals, and it's a ball over the top with Marcus Rashford sort of mishandling it, and then the defender overrunning it and him shooting off. Then it's when Martial came on, it was 1-2, and then Martial hitting it from outside the box. As much as I love those goals, I don't want to see that. I want to see Ericsson cutting it through, Fernandez giving it to Sancho, who skips a man, who puts a cross in, and it's a tap in for Antonio Ronaldo. I want to see six of those goals go against Omonia. I mean, am I the only one who sort of misses these, simple, easy tap in, non 30-yard, non curling, non outside the boot kind of goals? Just plain and simple, day to day Man City Haaland type of goals. Am I the only one, or do you guys miss these simple goals as well?
100%. I miss them. I miss those goals, and I think now is the time. It's really necessary that we get back to those old playing days. Again, with counter-attacking football, you can have good results, you can have period results, but then there is that inconsistency which will creep in. Eric Ten Hag is known as a coach who likes to press the game, play relentless, getting his right backs, getting his full backs forward, whipping in crosses, carving the opposition's midfield. I think some work needs to be done to that United team. You've got Bruno Fernandes. I just don't know is he really gonna fit into the Ten Hag system? He does not show any, sort of positivity because, he always goes for that Hollywood pass. Marcus Rashford, as good as he's be, if he wants to be a winger, especially under Eric Ten Hag, he needs to improve his game passing wise, right? Yes, he's
Yeah,
brilliant in cutting through and going forward with that piece, but then he needs to have that what would I say? That touch which sort of an Anthony
yeah,
Martial or Anthony has. So again, I think yes, I do miss those days, but I think if we give Eric Ten Hag the time, to work with these set of players, he would eventually decide, who can fit into that system. As he said, he saw Maguire is not really the guy to play that high line. He dropped him, you know. And I think Eric Ten Hag will work on these players. He would hopefully get the reinforcements in the upcoming windows, so that he can bring in his philosophy with the team sort of gelling in together. And yeah, I do believe, we're not far from, those days of, crave, those slick passes and those nice tap-ins. We do see shades about them. We do see shades of them. But then again, like I said, consistency is the key. We need to play consistently. It's just not one good half or, 60 minutes or, three bad games in one good game. You need that consistency. That's the key.
right, right, for sure. And just before ending it, Kushagra, Webov, your quick predictions.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be a 3-0 victory. I think we're finally gonna have a clean sheet. If like Ronaldo starts, I see him scoring a brace. If he does not start, I think my favorite Marcus Rashford will be there on the score sheet for sure.
There you go. That's a quick sneak peek. Right, Webov.
Ronaldo United, Ronaldo, Anthony,
Oh,
Marcus, and maybe the fourth goal is scored by any of those three again. You never know. So
right,
yeah, I'm going with 4-0 United.
right. Um, no one asked me, but it's 4-0 from my side as well. I'd agree with Webov. So that was the quick preview for the game against Omonia in the UEFA Europa League. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. We'll be back with some engaging, exciting, and insightful content as always. And it's me, Antriksh Rena, along with Kushagra and Webov, signing off from the MUSC Red Devils NCR family. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And see you guys soon. Take care.
GGMU.
GGMU guys.